Well, absolutely. And now we've seen the Ohio Department of Natural Resources issue orders saying as much, saying, your injection is endangering underground sources of drinking water. And so we're suspending your operation. So that's happened at least 3 times now. So the agency even is recognizing it now. But certainly, yes. I mean, my understanding, from speaking with experts on this issue and from speaking with communities who have been working with this issue and for speaking with conventional drillers and conventional operators about this, it is true that the underground, it's so interconnected and there's so many pathways for migration. And when you over pressurize a system, that's the thing. I think that there is this misconception. And I was listening to a scientist speak yesterday, Dr. David Jeffrey, and from Marietta College. And I was so impressed with the way he was explaining things. But I think there is this misconception that, well, we're just putting it back where it came from. Mm-hmm. What else would you do with it? That's all we're doing. We took it out and now it goes in, or it came out when we were getting the product, right? And so now we're putting it back in. What else would you do with it? Why would that not make sense? This is very practical. Well, first of all, about half of what's being injected in Ohio comes from out of state. So that's its own mythology, right? Is you're taking it out in Pennsylvania, you're putting it in Ohio. I'm not a scientist, I'm an attorney, but I don't think that's taking it out of where it came from or putting it back from where it came from.
Yeah.
But as this is explained to me more and more, it's actually just not, period, at all, putting it back where it came from. It's a different formation. Where we're extracting from is not where we're putting it into. And what was said yesterday at a fantastic presentation by Buckeye Environmental Network, but by this scientist, was that Ohio's geology is not porous enough and it's not permeable enough to support injection and using this ground in this way for this type of disposal. It's simply not. And you hear this all the time. You hear, it's not appropriate for injection. And what he had mentioned as a appropriate injection methodology would be find an old expired oil and gas field, see how much space is left in it, inject into that where there's space. Mm-hmm. But we're injecting into tight formations where there's already fluids and we're non-compressible fluids and we're trying to stuff more things into them. Mm-hmm. So of course the ground is becoming pressurized. And again, I'm a lawyer, I'm not a scientist, but what I can tell you is that we know from public records that the pressure is rising. It's rising in the conventional wells that are around these disposal wells. And so it's a system quite literally under pressure where fracking waste is being pushed up out of the ground.
God.
And the aquifers in Ohio that folks are drinking out of are aquifers that run adjacent to rivers. And they are 30, 50 feet. I mean, they're shallow. I mean, again, not a scientist, but I do know they're shallow aquifers. So we have material is one way to say it. We have fracking waste. We have oil and gas waste resurfacing. Even if it's resurfacing and percolating down, the drinking water is at risk. But I think the drinking water is also at risk from below as well. And these aquifers are all connected to one another.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because you'd think that the necessity to frack in the first place would make the ground not suitable for putting fluid into, because you have to break it apart in the first place to get it out.
Right.
And then by fracking, you are changing the geology of the whole area. So yeah, again, not a scientist either, but it logically seems like it wouldn't make a lot of sense to me.
We knew it was just a matter of time where our water was going to be contaminated. I mean, I never had any doubt, it just because that's the logical result of what they're doing. So there is an imminent threat to drinking water. So does that mean, is there some legal thing that?
I think it's really inspiring what communities like Marietta Ohio are doing right now. So there you have a city council that has said, after learning and hearing and really understanding what's happening around their community, which this stuff is not straightforward. It took people a long time to grapple with, what are we doing?
But like
what are we doing?
Local officials who didn't even, with major injection wells that have been there for years, didn't even know it in their communities, right? Mm-hmm. So that they sneak in and they do this stuff, and it really is possible not to know what's happening right within your community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What goes on beneath our feet, a lot. But that community
Washington County for Safe Drinking Water.
Washington County for Safe Drinking Water has been incredible. And so Marietta City Council is calling for a moratorium on injection wells around their community. They're calling for a study into exactly what is happening in terms of the risk to their drinking water. Mm-hmm. And I think these requests, sure, ODNR doesn't have to respect that, doesn't have to honor that. But certainly ODNR has a basis in terms of what is going on in front of them to make the choice to pause permitting until they understand the problem. So I do think these calls directly from impacted communities have power and have meaning. And I also think we're reaching, it's a fever pitch moment in terms of the pressure and how high it is. You have geysers in Texas, you have geysers in Oklahoma.
Which means what?
This means oil and gas waste coming up, hundreds of feet into the ground because there's so
from the ground coming
pressure.
Up into the air.
Into the air from the ground. Into the air from the ground. Yeah.
That'll just last for days or weeks or nonstop, or they just.
I don't know how long. I don't know how long, but it's real. It's real. And so it is. People are becoming fed up. Rightfully, oil and gas waste is spewing out of the earth.
And I think what it adds to the pressure here too is that the rapid and aggressive expansion of data center development is going to put a lot of pressure on further expansion of oil and gas. And so we have these issues that are still kind of unresolved from the first fracking boom.
Can I just say, you say issues? They're disasters.
Yeah.
They're not issues.
Yeah.
People, the regulators and the government and the industry might consider them issues, but we know that they're disasters for our children's future, for our children now, for future generations. Water is life. Remember that whole thing?
Water is life. Water is life.
Yeah, a society that disregards water is lost the plot, I think.